is about the billionaire Epstein class eating people to stay young, and you cannot convince me otherwise. And before we start diving into the Wizard of Oz level Americana metaphors that we find in this, let's talk about the axis of the show's creators and why I believe that the Duffer Brothers' background combined with Winona Ryder's life experiences is what led us to this show. Because if you watch the show and you thought this is like the Burbs meets Stranger Things, there's a reason for that. The same guys wrote it. And just like how the Burbs is a conspiracy theorist mostly proven right, Stranger Things was literally inspired by MK Ultra. MK Ultra was the CIA mind control experiments. And I've talked about Timothy Leary's connection to the CIA and those mind control experiments and how he might have been a counterculture operative to keep America's youth basically incapacitated as they protested the Vietnam War. Timothy Leary was godfather to Joy Ito, who was like a boy wonder back in the day, and I've talked a lot about that relationship. Joy Ito helped run MIT Media Labs, which, as we all know, he had a huge relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. You know who else was Timothy Leary's godchild? Winona Ryder. Winona Ryder's father, Mike Horowitz, was the archivist for Timothy Leary. And yes, he also ran a very specialized bookstore, mind you. Take a pause to just read some of this. I mentioned this because I found a thread from 5 years ago in which somebody whose video on YouTube, that is no longer there by the way, but in this video, along with comments and other clues that she left in other places, accuses Winona Ryder's father of being an FBI agent who dealt with SA drugging along with the selling of American people. And her friend, who was in the theater along with the parents of Winona Ryder, said that he would write disgusting and perverted things that her friend would be forced to act out with him. And one of their close family friends were Allen Ginsberg. Allen Ginsberg helped expose the CIA's heroin operation in Thailand, was a member of the radical intellectual collective Resist with Noam Chomsky, you know, this Noam Chomsky, and was a member of NAMBLA. NAMBLA, the pro-PDF file group. I don't think Winona's participation in Stranger Things is a coincidence, especially when you take into account that Winona Ryder is now a godmother to the children of one of the Duffer brothers. Now, Ross Duffer was married to a woman named Lee Janiak, who he met in 2006. Up until about 2005, she was working on getting her PhD in Hebrew literature at NYU, when suddenly she quit her PhD, moved to LA, and by 2005, she gets her first big industry job at Leonardo DiCaprio's production company. But that could be nothing, who knows? But there are certain things that always raises a red flag with me, such as identical twin stuff. Doesn't mean anything individually, but there is a cross-sectionality with the research that I do. Like how the Duffer brothers' mom was a part-time real estate broker, and their father was a film buff and Research Triangle Institute project director. By the late 1980s, the Department of Defense, NASA, the Department of Education, and the Atomic Energy Commission had contracted with RTI for $85 million. RTI was apparently really heavily involved with HIV and AIDS research, which clearly comes into play in the character of Wally, a former prominent doctor who is dying of terminal cancer, who clearly is symbolic of the medical researchers as well as scientists who get involved in this ring trying to do good by harming people. There's a scene where they brilliantly expose the pipeline from the medical professional to the evil.
Why not? I could end disease as we know it. AIDS, heart disease, prostate cancer. That's right. Because I have lost enough. Friends, patients, lovers, an entire generation gone. But not this time. This time, I win. This time, I save everybody. Or you could become a monster too.
And yes, there is the irony of having Geena Davis in this role, especially given the controversies currently surrounding her and Selena Gomez. And mind you, I have no official stance on that one way or the other, but I am always open. But the fact that this is a literal line that she says, that the elites that control their community and their little helpers are all drinking blood to stay alive and young. Ugh. But now I want you to keep all of this stuff in the back of your head when you watch my next video, which is going to actually get into the symbolism and stuff. Because they aren't being subtle, y'all. From kids being locked in underground tunnels, systematic gaslighting by law enforcement, even to the theme of the New Mexican desert hiding your secrets.
So I put it out there in the desert. The desert can hold it all.
Let's talk about the Burrows and how it's basically a documentary about how the class is eating us. Not to mention the aliens, adrenochrome, and we've got Native American doomsday cults. And yes, this will be full of spoilers. And for entertainment purposes only. This movie really focuses in on the elderly and aging, which is one of our most vulnerable populations. And when they are in need, they are ignored and can very easily fall prey to predators. Just like how children are vulnerable. But it's kind of hard to make sucking brain fluid out of babies entertaining. Now, we mainly follow the story of Sam Cooper, a retired aeronautical engineer who unfortunately witnessed his wife die in his arms unexpectedly. Played by Lois from Malcolm in the Middle. But notice right here, these puzzle pieces became a theme throughout the entire show. Those puzzle pieces were left like breadcrumbs for them to follow, kind of like what we're doing right now. Because Sam Cooper's wife was named Lily. Sam Cooper was the name of Lily Allen's first husband. Lily Allen's second husband was David Harbour, who she very publicly divorced last year, who Hank, the head of security, looks suspiciously like. Now in the show, Sam Cooper is forced to honor a contract that he and his wife had signed where they planned to move to this retirement community from Chicago. That retirement community is in the middle of the New Mexico desert. Now who else had an extremely isolated, functional community out in the desert? Now it's very obvious from the beginning that all of the staff that works at the Burrows is in on this plot, which makes sense because they are in on this plot, you know, which consists of aliens crawling out of our ovens, harvesting the brainstem fluid that's in the back of our skull through our mouths while we sleep. And that's where we hit the adrenochrome, which started being researched by our government in the 50s and the subject of several crazy conspiracy theories like Pizzagate, and how it plays a role in satanic ritual abuse, using it as an elixir of youth, as with children's blood infusions, adrenochrome cocktail smoothies. But you'll notice how everything seems to be frozen in time in the 50s in the Burrows, and that theme is intentional because it seems like that's when this all started. Find out that the creatures that are feeding off of the residents are aliens who were birthed from Mother, who has had so many transfusions of our brain cell stems, she now basically has a human-like appearance. Now her kids get locked up in cages underground in tunnels, then her kids are in tunnels underground feeding off of the residents. They rotate it until eventually you get dementia or die. Now, who is it again that's building tunnels underneath all of our major cities? Can't remember. So then we get to the whole plot point of everybody on the staff is actually also really old and they're taking a little bit of the, you know, the goo juice. And then there's this obvious theme of where the employees just get a little taste and the rich and powerful get more than their fair share. And it becomes one of those things that once you get ensnared in that web, it's literally impossible to leave unless they make the big bad mad and then he'll just kill them. Now, Hank, the head of the security at the Burrows, was clearly a warden back in the 70s who died in a car accident, which obviously is our corrupt law enforcement metaphor. This, I feel like, is the most important scene in the entire show because of this part.
I've seen all the terrible things Daddy did to people. Our blood is poisoned. Everybody'd be a lot better off if our whole family line choked out and died. Let time do what it do. Wipe things clean.
Now remember yesterday when I talked about Winona Ryder and all of her connections? Well, on top of the family's CIA connections, Winona Ryder's father moved them to a commune called the Rainbow for 1 year when she was a child. It was a community with just 7 families and no electricity. Now in the 1960s, an evangelical cult essentially appropriated a Hopi Cree prophecy and bastardized it into a Mother Nature doomsday kind of thing. A rainbow of people would join together and be the reincarnation of Native Americans who were killed by the first settlers. And essentially when the planet is ravaged by greed and corruption and basically Mother Earth is dying, the Rainbow Children, through their brave, compassionate, and wise actions, will help heal the wounds of Mother the Earth. So I think Mother is not only supposed to be an alien, but she's also supposed to be Mother Earth. I know, a little on the nose, but I very distinctly got Native American vibes when I saw her character. And yes, major spoilers here, but Mother does explode, surrounded by her children in an ancient cave in the desert that they prepared for her by stealing a bunch of quartz and stuff and hanging it on a tree. There was a whole quartz theme throughout this show, where Hank tries to gaslight Renee about it, and basically implies that he'll have to tell people she's crazy if she talks about it. Like, they stole a bunch of quartz from the residents, and they never really explained to us why they were stealing the quartz, so I looked into it. Now, there's a couple things that this could mean, because there apparently is a conspiracy theory that the global elite / the government are able to manufacture natural disasters in order to seize control of high-quality quartz, which is an important semiconductor and needed for the global tech market. And one of the biggest purveyors of this particular conspiracy theory is the Spruce Pine Mining District in North Carolina, which is where the Duffer brothers are from. I haven't even gotten to my favorite theories yet. My tummy hurts. They've pretty much confirmed alien-human hybrids in the themes in this, but they pretty much gave us the pathway to take these people down. Basically, it's gonna have to be the workers, the people, the underlings that take them down. It's a theme that they do throughout the entire show, because fuck the elite. Look at the name, the Burrows, which is obviously a play on the burbs. Burrows is also a homophone, also means a hole, tunnel, or network of underground tunnels, which is not only a reference to the tunnels underneath their homes, but to burrow their heads in the sand, which was the deal that they were offered in the show. A deal that Art, a former philosopher from Berkeley who grows his own supply of magic mushrooms, gladly wants to take. He wants to go back to putting his head in the sand. Berkeley, where Timothy Leary not only attended college himself, but also attended college. Now, there's something really important that happens in the show that I feel like we overlooked. Because remember when his daughter fixes the TVs and they were able to actually work? She very importantly mentions that whatever she's working on will not affect human DNA. Earlier on, Sam had recalibrated it so it only worked on the DNA of the alien species. We are also told that because of the brain fluid that her children harvest from us and she feeds on, that is why she looks so human. They were also told that Mother was found as an egg buried deep underground. Now, they claim that the whole reason for this scheme was that when she was so young, polio struck her down. Polio typically attacked children under the age of 5. And yes, technically you can get it at any age if you're not vaccinated. But what if Annalise was not the original Annalise? Because we get this weird dream sequence where he and his wife are looking at his wife's body in a coffin. The same pink outfit she had on when they founded the Burrows. Sure, on the surface it might seem like, oh, that's just a nightmare. I think Annalise was either replaced, cloned, or Annalise and Judy are talking to each other in the beginning. Judy mentions that she feels like sometimes she's going to explode, and that's when she says that she puts it all in the desert, and that's the price you pay for living in the Burrows. So Mother explodes in the desert, in her little cave. A cave that Annalise just so happens to follow Art into, in the middle of the desert, wearing those heels, and he didn't notice. So both she and Blaine knew exactly where that cave was. Annalise also talks about recently thinking that she and Blaine were going to have a baby, but that it didn't happen. Then they never explain what happened to the baby. Watch what happens in the final confrontation between the Shaws and Sam and his daughter. So why did poor Ted Niedermeyer explode completely? In this scene, he says that he is 62 because he and Wally are the same age, so clearly he has not been drinking the goo juices long, so why was he exploding? Because remember, it's not supposed to affect human DNA, unless he was full-blooded alien. The transition manager was also part human, and it didn't kill her. Why was it instant for him and not the Shaws? And Blaine doesn't explode until Mother does in the cave, so why didn't he? What if he started out as a human and Annalise was an alien-human hybrid? What if the egg they found was actually their baby, who they used to keep Annalise alive when she got sick from polio? Because what if the price you pay for living in the Burrows is sacrificing your own child? What if this guy was an alien who helped sire the children? Because where did the kids come from? Because literally nobody else exploded but Annalise and the IT guy. Because never do they explain this scene where he and Annalise are bathing together in a giant tub of goo in a color in which we had never seen. So why is he trying to heal her or bathe her in this tub of goo? Because she was never fully human. And I think that they intentionally planted that idea with Bill Pullman in cast for one episode only because he famously played the president in Independence Day. I feel like there's a lot of other little things that we could talk about, like the whole metaphor of having to wander through the desert to get to the truth. But I'm just gonna leave you with this specific conversation that they decided to include in this show because it feels like they're trying to tell us something about it.
largest tunnel systems in the world are found underneath Disney World. They call them the utilidors.
No, it's not the largest tunnel system in the world.
Yeah, it is.
The Delaware Aqueduct is larger.
That's not a utility tunnel.
Well, you didn't say utility tunnels, you said tunnels.